Alright, Ludum Dare 38 ratings have been released, or technically they were released a few days ago, but I just now got around to making the video. And our game, Planetary Defense Force, did receive a rating. For those that don't know, this was our game. It was a 3D tower defense where you could move the build platform / planets and needed to do so in order to defend the sun from enemies coming down various lanes. So here are the scores we got. So overall, right, we were quite surprised at the scores, but that didn't really change the fact that our game did have a lot of issues, and it also didn't change the fact that we still had a lot of fun working on it, and we're proud of what we made. I think it's safe to say the entries get better every year, and it seems this year especially there were less overall submissions because of the 20 ratings required to even get your game rated. Competition was tough, and although we improved a lot in a lot of ways over the last LDJAM, like with graphics, sound, and innovation, our last game was more complete. PDF really lacked that. Little Lava Horrors was simple, straight to the point, and easy to control. It wasn't that fun or inspiring, but it worked. Overall, PDF was a bit too ambitious. So now to talk about like the rating process and how the competition went as a whole. I wanted to say that first, I think the must receive 20 ratings category, which is probably the biggest change from last time, is necessary. Because many games with a couple of 5-star ratings from friends or from alt accounts would have won. The more times you do something, the more average the result is going to be, and that's why you need a lot of ratings. What I really liked was the coolness system, which was a system where it said like the more games you rate and the more games you play, the more likely it is for your game to appear on the front page. I really enjoyed that, and the community was very kind and active with rating and leaving feedback on other games. Even when Mike, the creator of Ludum Dare, was overloaded with work, the community stepped in to make judging easier. There was a great website called Feedback Friends by these guys who sorted your game based on how many comments you left on other games. And it allowed people to view a plethora of games with active developers who were actually playing and rating other people's games, which was great. So now back to these scores, as you probably saw in the beginning, 400 out of, I think, a little over 1,000. So our highest score, or lowest, because you want to be closer to 1, was graphics. And in Little Lava Horrors, our last LDJAM game, the art style wasn't strictly better, but it was much brighter and it popped out, which I think grabbed people's attention and made the game feel much more alive. It was slightly harder for us to make PDF look good from such a far away camera angle and in the darkness of space, but despite all this, I still think Glimmy did a great job with assets and particles, especially like the menacing Wave 2 boss ship. That was great. Audio, I personally thought our audio was much better in PDF because we actually recorded and generated the sounds in Audacity, while in Little Lava Horrors, some sounds were downloaded or made with LMMS. The turret placement sound was actually just me slamming my backpack onto my bed with some reverb, and the ship teleport sound was my backpack zipper. We also managed to get music from my friend Captain Cray, which helped a lot. With music, we were able to add a menacing or, peaceful atmosphere to the game whenever we pleased. So theme. So in the days upcoming before Ludum Dare, they released the themes for people to vote on. And I believe the night before it was rounded down to around 10 themes, and we looked over all of them and kind of thought of simple ideas for each game in case each theme won. And we kind of got attached to ideas, and because of this, the idea for PDF was actually created the day before the theme was actually announced. So it's not a surprise that our game didn't match the theme too well, because we created the game without really the specific Small Worlds theme in mind. I know it doesn't sound like the best thing to do, but trust me, I have a lot of respect for the people who actually tied their game around the theme and were rated accordingly for that. It's something that I think we are going to do next time. Next is mood, which a lot of people seem to be confused about what mood is and how to judge it. And rightfully so. I had a hard time judging it on some of the games too, but by definition, mood is a feeling or a state of mind, and that can be kind of hard to convey in a game. You can almost think of mood as setting the scene. So like lighting, shaders, music, and sound really help set the mood. A good story / background can also suggest or push a certain state of mind too. However, I didn't really think much about mood when making PDF, which is reflected in the score. Next is humor. Humor is interesting because not all games need to be humorous. However, I do respect games that manage to fit in humor while still scoring high in other categories. Plus, some people are just really funny, and it's nice that there's a way to appreciate that in the voting system. Next is innovation. Our game was not a new genre, as it was a tower defense. However, we did try to add many different mechanics and set the game apart from a normal tower defense, almost to a unhealthy level. For some reason, I really wanted to blow this game out of the water and make it some super complex new thing that no one's seen, when in reality we should have just done something we were comfortable with and polished the heck out of it and fit it into the theme. We did innovate slightly, however we put too much innovation and we put it over mechanics and functionality, which was a mistake. Fun. So I think our game was pretty fun to play, however the controls and mechanics made it hard to play the game, which is a problem. Plus, with no win condition, the game wasn't very rewarding. More player feedback and slight differences between waves could have also, I think, improved the playing experience. And what I mean by player feedback is, text on the screen telling them something, more sounds, more UI, to just make the game feel more alive. So overall, we did think the score would be much better compared to the competition. However, relative to the other categories, the scoring was pretty accurate. Our best ratings were in graphics, audio, and innovation, and our worst were in mood, humor, and theme, which pretty much goes with what I just explained. So where did the game start? Well, the first thing was getting an idea of what the game would be was very difficult. So that's why it's important to always talk and discuss with yourself or with a team what you plan on doing. Plan so you're not caught off guard, and plan within your reason. Don't dream about making the next big hit. So how did development go day by day? Well, like I said, we'd seen the final themes the day before and had been brainstorming on what possible games we could make with certain themes. With so many themes, we only came up with game ideas with the ones we really liked. Now, Planetary Defense Force, our most in-depth game idea, spawned from the Keep It Alive theme, which actually came in second place. We had a few ideas for this theme, and we'd put so much thought into the game and were so excited to work on it. When the Small World theme was announced, we decided to just carry on and roll with all the ideas and mechanics we'd already come up with. The idea phase in LDJAM is one that a lot of creators get stuck spending too much time on, and we just did not want to fall into that trap and come up with something fresh and new on the spot. Even with the idea fleshed out, things changed so much through development, and honestly should have continued to change. So the first night, Friday, like all Ludum Dare nights, it was productive all through the night. It was pretty simple stuff. It was talking about ideas and mechanics, kind of drawing out a basic blueprint of how the game would go, and then, getting the project set up and doing very basic things. Getting the player involved, making, some basic models and stuff like that. Saturday stayed productive, but not at the same fast and excited pace of Friday night. But that was because we were getting into harder territory and things were getting more difficult to do, and we had to look up some tutorials and stuff like that. Because we're not all-knowing in Unity and how it works. We are constantly learning as we make games, and we always will be. So after working a lot Friday, our main programmer, Kraito, got back in and worked hard to implement the actual turrets and enemies, and the game was really starting to come together. Now Sunday, Kraito crashed, and Kilimi and I kind of trudged on. A lot of the framework was done Friday and Saturday, so Sunday was mostly just asset creation and polishing. So that's when sounds were added, main menu music was added, options, more planets, undeath animation, stuff like that. So then roles kind of rotated, and Kilimi and I kind of struggled on Monday, and Kraito came back into things. And after a groggy morning for all of us, the deadline really came out of nowhere and raised a sense of urgency. and we finally started finishing out the project and playtesting it. Monday was actually a pretty productive day, mainly just because how much stuff we had to jam into such a short amount of time. Monday was the day when multiple enemy spawns, the boss, and the wave system was implemented. We were playtesting and editing small things right up to the deadline, with probably 4 different builds in the last 30 minutes. Throughout the jam, we maintained a near 8-hour sleep schedule, which I'm proud of, and took breaks to eat a proper lunch and dinner. Meaning something better than just ramen, or if it is just ramen, at least try to get up from your computer and sit down to eat it. These 2 aspects are very important, because you also don't want to start blending your days together by working for like near 20 hours straight or something. It's very important to work, sleep, and then get up knowing it's a new day and you have a fresh start. Because then you can look back on the previous day and be proud of what you've done, and then look on to the next day knowing what you need to do. It keeps things very organized and really reduces the chance of burnout. Overall, we worked for nearly 40 of the 72 hours. But that time wasn't spent constantly coding or modeling, as a lot of things were either reverted or just talked about. But we really didn't do much outside of developing the game besides just eating and sleeping. So next, the feedback we got, and kind of looking at what really we did right and what went wrong with our game. So what did we want overall? We wanted an interactive tower defense, which technically every game's interactive, but what I kind of meant was like one that kept the user playing/inputting keystrokes mid-wave. But we didn't want those things he would be doing mid-wave to be tedious, which kind of ended up happening. We might have tried too hard, or not we might have, we did try too hard to be different and unique instead of coming up with a working polished formula. So what did we do wrong? Well, there wasn't enough feedback to the user, so like audio feedback, visual feedback, stuff like that. The game was very disorientating. It was a whirlwind experience, which really could have been fixed by a more zoomed out and fluid approach. The voice acting was questionable. It was just something I was kind of experimenting with, but I think it was overall a waste of time. The controls were strange. You should have been able to really move the planets with a mouse and select the moons as a child of the planet instead of the weird WAS system we had going. I would have liked a smoother transition of the music. However, that was our first time really working with music, and we didn't end up getting the boss music in till Monday night. One of the big problems the game had, and one of the ones we knew right away upon build, was wave scaling issues, and the lack of a turret/upgrade system / more planets and interactables really fueled that. So what I mean is, Wave 4 was pretty much impossible. And the reason was there were just too many enemies coming, and you couldn't build enough turrets to defend your planet. To defend the sun, that is. And the reason was there weren't enough planets to build on, and originally we had intended an upgrade system to make them turrets more powerful as you got more currency. But you were just overflowed with currency, and there was no more slots left to build turrets. And because we messed up the scaling factor, the waves got way, too exponentially harder as time went on. I mean, with a lack of an upgrade system and not much user feedback, I all of a sudden would find myself sitting on 500 scrap or more by Wave 2. And on Wave 3, you almost couldn't spend all the scrap you collected. What we really wanted to do is add a scrap collector, but we ran out of time. The shop also should have been on the side and much easier to access instead of clicking on the planet first. So what got in the way of these changes? Well, we really didn't playtest enough. That's the one golden rule of games, is you can never playtest enough. You always want to be playtesting your game, and not just you, other people, because they'll see things different than you, just like proofreading content. We spent too much time delving into new areas instead of polishing the game. The true key to doing well in LDJAM is working with a formula you are familiar with and playtesting and polishing the heck out of it. It doesn't mean you shouldn't experiment with new concepts, because that's the only way you're going to grow and learn, but if you really want to do well in LDJAM, well, the formula is a bit different. It's better to wish that you would have added more content than to wish you would have changed current content. Time is the most powerful and important component in these jams. It can solve and cause a lot of problems, so work within your time constraints. Don't race against it, and then you will do well. If you can make a game, simple or not, that isn't restrained by time, then you'll succeed. So, was I satisfied with the competition results? Mostly, yeah, I was. I had a lot more fun playing and rating other games than I thought I would. I got to see a lot of different creators and genres that were really unique. At least, I was able to predict some of the games that would do good, even though I couldn't make our own that good. Despite the, relatively low ratings, I'm very, very proud of what we came up with. I mean, Kraito and Kilimi worked extremely hard as a team. It really showed that if we put our minds to something with enough time and dedication, we could get it done. And that's why I wanted to let you know that Ludum Dare 38 and our past experiences in modding and game development has really inspired us. And this summer and the months following, we are going to be working on a game which we hope to eventually release to the public and get on Steam. We've already kind of started working on it and prototyping some things. But I'll have more updates about that later, as this is a big project and it's going to take a while. But I just wanted to let you know that we're not just gonna kind of go off on vacation. We are still creating. So that's it for this vid. Just a little insight to our little Ludum Dare game and such. We learned a lot from it, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. So thank you very much, and I will see you later on.